I think this is going to be my new intro. I started doing this as a joke, but I think I'm going to make this an official thing. What up, my homies? What's happening? Welcome to my channel. You know. Um. Anyway, so I'm going to do the prediction results for UFC Fight Night. Brandon Moreno versus Amir Albazi. Um, I said when I was doing these predictions, I said that I was scared about these particular predictions, and I also said that I felt like this particular fight night would test my strategy. It would tell me if I'm good or not, and it seems I'm actually very good at doing predictions. But I have I have a bit of like disputes or quarrels with some of the fights. Um, First of all, which fight was it? Jamie Lynn Hoth versus Ivan Petrovic. This is one of three fights that I got wrong. I honestly don't feel like Jamie Lynn Hoth won that fight. Similarly with Sirhi Sidi, I don't think he won that fight. I felt like if that fight night was in a different um, if that fight card was in a different country, they wouldn't have won. I don't think they won. I felt like even the odds actually reflect what I'm saying basically right now, because I think when the fight ended, um, Garrett Anfield was like a minus 300 favorite. So clearly, we saw that Garrett Anfield won. Just that, unfortunately, the judges did not feel the same way, which is honestly sad. Um, in any case, let me actually get into the prediction results. Um, Jack Shaw versus Yusuf Zalal. My subscribers and I went with Yusuf Zalal. I wasn't really confident. Yeah, I wasn't really confident in this particular. Actually, almost every single pick on this card, I think all my locks won on this particular card. But anyway, Yusuf Zala looked decent, but he didn't look elite. I know he finished the fight, he got a submission, but I don't know. I feel like he's going to struggle the more he climbs up the ranks. I needed to see a little bit more dominance, a little bit more of him separating himself from everyone else. And not because once you get into the rankings, the level of competition um, triples, if not more. You know, so I didn't feel like I felt like the fight was too close for me. But nonetheless, Jack Shaw won. I mean, Yusuf Zalal won, and that's all that I care about. My subscribers and I were right on this one. Um, On to the next one. Jamie Lynn Hoth versus Ivan Petrovic. My subscribers and I went with Ivan Petrovic. This was the first fight I got wrong on the card. I think it sucks, to be honest, largely because, as I was saying at the beginning, I don't feel like Jamie Lynn Hoth won that fight. It was close, but I felt like Ivan Petrovic did a little bit more as far as damage goes. But like I always say, if you make it close, then I have no, like you have no right to complain, even if you were robbed. So I guess it is, it is what it is. Um, so yeah, and I'm not saying this because I picked her. I know a lot of people maybe might think I'm saying this because I picked her. I just felt like she didn't win. I mean, I felt like she won, but nonetheless, we move on. This was the first fight I got wrong on the card. On to the next one, Chad and Helliger versus Cody Gibson. My subscribers went with Chad and Helliger. I went with Cody Gibson. Um, Let me see. I don't know. I felt a little bit more confident in Cody Gibson. I think I can't recall, but I was a little bit worried. Cody Gibson looks incredible, man. I wish he had this kind of performance a little bit earlier in his career. It's unfortunate that he's having this kind of performances at the age of 37. There's only so far that he can go. But nonetheless, I mean, as long as he can get fun fights and actually make money, I think that's the most important thing, you know. But he looks really good, man. I feel like he is just doing all of this at the wrong time. Well, not the wrong time. I just wish he had done this a little bit earlier on. Um, yeah, there's nothing much to add to that performance. Just that I would have loved to see this kind of performance, knowing that he would be able to perform at a higher level. But nonetheless, he got the win um, in dominant fashion. So I'm happy. I was right. On to the next one. City versus Garrett Umfield. My subscribers and I went with Garrett Umfield. You know what? I remember saying this fight was going to be close, but I felt confident that Garrett Umfield would win, and I still feel like I was right. You know, I feel like Garrett Umfield won. The fact that the odds were like minus 300 reflect that. Um, I think he was robbed. I feel like if that fight was anywhere else apart from Canada, City would never have won that fight. I think he lost. Um, but it is what it is. There's very little we can do about that. Um, yeah, that was a good performance from Garrett Umfield. Series CD gave us or tried. That's as much as I can say. I don't feel like he won. And it's not because I didn't pick him. I just feel like if you were watching the fight, that's why I'm saying the odds reflected that. Um, a lot of people were live betting on Garrett Umfield, and that just goes to show who the majority of the people were feeling like is winning that particular fight. But it's cool. I still did really well on picks, so it's fine. Um, but it sucks that every single time when the UFC visits a specific country or area, we have to expect. That's why I've included now in the community section, I'm voting for who is more likely to win a robbery, which is sad to be honest. But I think that's like required important information because we when people predict fights, they don't take into account the fact that robberies happen and they can change a fight. Even if someone actually won like Garrett Anfield, it doesn't mean they're going to get the nod from the judges. So I think I'm going to start including it starting from next week. Who is more likely to win a robbery? Like I think that's important information. Anyway, Alexander Romanov versus Rodrigo Nascimento. My subscribers and I went with Alexander Romanov. Um, this was a terrible fight. Maybe terrible is a strong word, but it wasn't a great fight. um, I mean, Romanov looked good. I feel like if he made a little bit more effort, lost a little bit more weight, I think he would be a really decent contender. Largely because I feel like his boxing what looked really decent, or maybe it's because he was fighting Rodrigo Nascimento, so it seemed like it was good. Maybe I'm just assuming, but yeah, Romanov looked good as far as technical skill, but the fight in itself did not look that great. Both of them do not have great conditioning. I don't feel like they're taking their careers seriously, and it's difficult to actually predict fights when people are not taking their careers seriously. But nonetheless, I got this one right. I think this was one of my confident picks. Not confident, but mid level confidence. But nonetheless, yeah, he won. On to the next one, Charles Jourdain versus Victor Henry. My subscribers and I went with Charles Jourdain. I think Charles Jourdain was one of my other like one of the other confident pick or other mid level confidence pick that I had for the previous card. Charles Jourdain looked incredible. Was it incredible though? it was a little bit close, but he won nonetheless. I would like to see a little bit more from him. I think he's really talented. Um, yeah, it's hard to say because he's not even that active. So it's hard to even say if he's that good or not. Based on that performance, I wouldn't really say that he's going to be in the top 10, but people improve. That was his first fight in that division, so I guess maybe I shouldn't be too hard on him. But he was one of my mid-level confident picks because on this card I didn't have like a lot of confident picks, despite the fact that and I did really well, but I did say that I wanted to like this card would test whether I'm good at predicting fights or not, and I got 10 out of 13. I feel like I should have gotten 12 out of 13, but you know what, I'll take 10. Um, so yeah, um, Charles Jourdain won. I guess we'll just have to wait and see how he performs in his next fight. On to the next one: Ariana Lipski versus Jasmine Davicius. My subscribers and I went with Jasmine Davicius. Um, I actually did say that I felt like Jasmine would have the advantage on the ground, and then Lipski would probably have the advantage on the feet. I also did say that I was a little bit worried about this particular fight because I felt like Lipski has lost to two really decent fighters. And I wasn't necessarily underestimating Jessie Davicius. That's why I picked her. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you I wasn't worried. And clearly, I had every right to be worried because on the feed, she was losing. But fortunate enough, she was able to adjust and actually got the fight to the ground where she had the advantage. Yeah, my subscribers and I were right on this one. Um, I'm looking forward to actually seeing her against the higher ranked opponents. I wouldn't mind seeing her against anyone in the top five, maybe. Um, Plus, she's getting older, so I think maybe they should give her the opportunity to actually get into the top five and maybe make a run at the title. Because like age is not on her side at this point. So yeah, hopefully they give her a top five fight. Anyway, on to the next one. Ayman Zahabi versus Pedro Munoz. My subscribers and I went with Ayman Zahabi. Um, I was a little bit worried about this pick, but man, I didn't feel like Zahabi would be that crisp on the feet, man. Like he was piecing up Munoz. Like I didn't expect that, to be honest. He exceeded my expectations, but once again, Zahabi is like Jesse Davicius. He looked good, but he needs to do what Pereira is doing. Be as active as possible because the peak of their careers is almost over. Especially Zahabi and Jesse Davicius because they are at lower weight classes. But nonetheless, Zahabi looked good in that particular fight. I thought it would be a little bit closer. It was in the first round, but it started to take off in the second round. Like it was incredible to watch. Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. I think if he was a little bit more active, and for me personally, it's difficult for me to get excited about anything that is not active. Nonetheless, next fight purely because of it. Because like as you grow, you start to slow down. Your ability to punches goes away and everything like that. So he looked good, but because he's not active, he might probably be in next year this time. So yeah, he looked good. There's nothing more to really say about this particular fight because he's not really active. On to the next one, Mike Millard versus Trevin Giles. My subscribers and I went with Mike Millard. I was disappointed in Mike Millard, to be honest. I felt like he would be a little bit better because he's one of the other people who are not very active. Um, okay, he is a little bit active. I mean, he lost this year, right, to Neil Magny. Nonetheless, I thought he would be a little bit better, especially due to his absence. Um, and I don't know, man. It looks like he looked worse. Maybe it's because Trevin Giles is a decent fighter, but I don't know. He looked horrible, man. So the thing about him being a prospect and a future champion, based on his last performance, this performance, I don't know if he gets into the top 10, maybe top 15. I am not even sure about top 15, but I don't see him getting into the top 10. That was a bad performance, but nonetheless, I got the pick right, so that's all I care about. But that was a horrible performance. I expected more from him. Clearly, he wasn't improving. He was busy saying he has done things that have the hardest things in this camp, but it didn't reflect. I don't know what he was doing, um, because clearly it didn't work. Um, anyway, my subscribers and I got this one right. On to the next one. Marc Andre Barrios versus Dustin Stoltzfus. This was the final and third fight I got wrong. My subscribers and I went with Marc Andre Barrios. But I did say in my upsets predictions that I felt like people were underestimating Dustin. And I did say that I felt like Marc Andre had horrible takedown defense. Um, am I covering the mic? Let me see. Yeah, I did say that I felt like Marc Andre had terrible takedown defense, and that was one of the biggest worries for me. Was that I didn't feel like he would be able to successfully defend them. I felt like if the fight was on the feet, he would have a little bit more success. And I think I was partially right because the biggest reason I feel like Dustin Stoltzfus was able to actually knock him out was because he got him tired on the ground, and which was very easy to take him down. So I told a lot of people that I know that a lot of people are underestimating Dustin, and a lot of people thought like he had no shot. Basically, I remember seeing someone in the comment section saying, Dustin looks like a lock, and I was like, I wouldn't say that for me personally, and clearly I was right, you know. So yeah, this was the third fight I got wrong. The last and third fight I got wrong. Um, yeah, not great fighters, both of them. So it's hard for me to actually even, I don't know. John Ryan Rivera. Hi, how are you, man? So yeah, there's nothing much to say more about this. On to the next one. Caio Machado versus Brandison Ribeiro. My subscribers and I went with Brandison Ribeiro. Um, I'm actually surprised that I'm actually surprised that Ribeiro did not try to grapple, because I felt like he would have the advantage there. I felt like the biggest path to victory for Caio Machado would be on the feet. But man, Brandison actually proved me wrong. He performed really well. I felt like he was landing the more significant strikes. Well, the more impactful one. I don't always favor volume personally. I look at who is landing the more powerful shots, and I felt like that was Ribeiro. It was a close fight, and that's one of the reasons why I kept on saying, "Am I the only one at the chat?" No, there are a couple of people. It's actually surprising because normally the stream is full of a lot of people, but it's fine. I enjoy doing this. Some of them will watch it afterwards. Um, so so yeah, Brandison looked decent in that particular fight. I thought he would win the fight on the ground, but he actually won it on the feet. So good for him. My subscribers and I got this one right. On to the next one. Rose Namajunas versus Aaron Blanchfield. My subscribers went with Rose Namajunas. I went with Aaron Blanchfield. Um, this one is also very tricky for me because it's hard to actually feel happy for Aaron Blanchfield because I feel like he has a bad team. Um, I heard them saying they brought in a boxing coach, and it clearly seems like they are trying to make her a striker, and they are neglecting her wrestling. Because even though she had success, and I picked her and I was right, but I'm not really happy about the performance because I feel like she should have went straight to wrestling. I have no problem with someone improving and becoming a well-rounded fighter, but you cannot try to become a well-rounded fighter against someone who is the better fighter in that particular area of fighting. I'm 100% sure that if Aaron Blanchfield had any struggles as far as taking down Rose, maybe even in the third round, she would have probably given up. I feel like she has a horrible team that's busy ignoring her best asset that actually got her where she is, because she is where she is because of wrestling. She only started to try and become a striker when she fought Jessica Andrade and Manon Fiorot, which is honestly very stupid. I feel like striking, especially if you are good on the ground, should be used to create openings to take the fight to the ground. So I don't know, man. I don't see Erin Blanchfield becoming a champion, largely because of her team. She's a very talented fighter, but I don't see her becoming a champion. I feel like she has a terrible team. Maybe she might become a champion, but it's going to take her a very long time. She's going to take a couple of losses because the one thing that should be helping her become a champion, her team is basically ignoring it and saying, "Well, we are going to develop another aspect of your martial arts," which is really stupid. Why not enhance what she is already good at? Look at Hamza Chimaev. Even though he's well-rounded, he doesn't say, "I'm going to prove a point and strike with Robert Whittaker." Why? It doesn't really make sense. So I feel like she has a horrible team. I think she is good enough to maybe be in the top 10, top 5 for a very long time, but I don't see her becoming a champion, to be honest. Which is sad because I'm a really big fan of Erin Blanchfield. I hope she somehow manages to change her team because it's terrible for her. But anyway, I was right. I picked Erin Blanchfield. I wasn't really happy with her performance, but I was right, so that's all I care about. On to the next one, Brendan Moreno versus Amir Albazi. My subscribers and I went with Brendan Moreno. Brendan Moreno actually surprised me. I knew he would win, but I felt like it would be a little bit closer, man. He looked very crisp in that particular fight, and he started to pull away in the later rounds. I didn't think he would dominate Kyle. I got Gillian, Derrida, and Abdul Malik. What do you think? I still have to do preparations. I'm going to do my final predictions um, on Wednesday. Yeah, so the day after tomorrow, around this time. So it's hard for me to say, but Gillian seems like Gillian, Derrida, and Abdul Malik. I think they are decent fighters. So maybe that's a solid, but I'll get back to you on Wednesday. Um, so yeah, Brandon Moreno looked really good in that particular fight. Beyond anything I was expecting from him. Yeah, yeah, I think that's it. I got my predictions. I got 10 predictions. I got 10 picks correct and three wrong. My subscribers got one. Let me see. Let me actually check how many they got wrong. I got Jamie Lynn Hoth and Garrett Anfield. They also got her wrong. Magandre, they got her wrong. They got him wrong. So that's three plus Rose. That's four. Who else? Yeah, I think my subscribers got four wrong. They got nine correct, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I'm not counting properly. I'm a little bit tired. Oh no, they got five wrong. They picked Chad and Helliger. So yeah, my subscribers got eight correct and five wrong. I got 10 correct and three wrong. I'll see you Wednesday, guys. I love and appreciate all of you. Deuces.